3 Americans, 2 political parties, talking about one terminal diagnosis. This is Political Malpractice. And here we are for another week. We are missing Senor Sander. He is here in Methafornia. He's not in California proper. He is in Methafornia, out by Indio Blythe area, something about the Salton Sea or something like that. I don't know. 4th of July fireworks. Apparently, the tariffs bit him in the butt, but I'm sure he's collecting that all back from whoever's buying his fireworks.
Well, there you go.
We'll ask him about it midweek when he comes back.
Right. Fair enough.
So
And
I did want to touch back last week to something you said.
Right.
When I was talking about how Trump is just continuing to just be ridiculous, right? That's pretty much all last week was about, was his ridiculous speech. You had mentioned that, he's still on the campaign trail, and I agreed. Your numbers suck, bro. You better start campaigning and getting people to like you again. But then you had said that he wanted to keep his enemies on his toes. What do you mean? Because I'm not his enemy.
No, you're not his enemy, and the vast majority of Americans, 99.999%, are not his enemy. I think really what my insinuation there is political enemies is kind of what I'm talking about. He keeps those people constantly confused. And of course, he loves the news cycle and stuff like that too. So he'll come off with some sort of bombastic crap and or super narcissistic crap or whatever the case may be, or something that's just a complete freaking fabrication. And I think that some of that is intentional. I mean, I think that sometimes maybe people don't give him credit for him actually knowing what he's doing. Do I agree with it? Especially the stuff dealing with that terrible response to Rob Reiner. Do I agree with a lot of it? No, I don't. Not at all. But I think what I was just trying to do is be honest about the political tactics that are going on here.
Okay.
And when I'm talking about enemies, I'm talking political enemies, which is probably a very small amount of people.
But at the end of the day, though, he's the president over everybody in the U.S. So even though Biden hasn't said boo to the guy, why is he your enemy? You're the president. Shut the you-know-what up and be the president of everybody.
I think it's fair enough to say that Biden isn't so much an enemy as Biden is a scapegoat. So.
Biden is the thorn in his paw, and who knows what's going on with his hands, so ain't nobody getting close to pull that thorn out.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know. I saw the stuff.
Now it's on both hands. So either homie is shaking with both hands or something else is going on.
I mean, it could be as simple as blood thinners. I know my dad had the exact same thing before he died.
Yeah, they admitted that he's got venous insufficiency. So yeah, he's on blood thinners. But I've known quite a few people on blood thinners. My ex-stepdad to be one, who never had bruises from shaking hands. He bled like a sieve when the mosquitoes got him, but never had a bruised hand from shaking hands.
Not from shaking hands, but I do remember my dad somehow or other. I can't remember how he got him, but it wasn't from, freaking shaking hands. But he did get those little bruises on there. And, I mean, it's kind of like anyone in politics. It's like you can't get a freaking straight answer out of them.
Well, we all know that the most simple answer, the easiest answer is he's friggin' old. The guy is, what, 80? He's in his 80s somewhere now.
I mean, at least 126.
At least.
So, at least. And, I mean, I'm sure some of the conservatives watching this are probably having a heart attack over me talking about Trump like this right now. But I mean, the simple fact is that while I kind of know what he's doing, or at least I think I know what he's doing most of the time, and what I think most of his supporters think he's doing is keeping people on their toes, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it as super helpful when it's constant. I mean, if anything, at least be more tactical about it.
Yeah.
With him, it's more of just kind of like, he's vomiting out this stuff like Linda Blair and Exorcist.
I've never had a better mental image than what that just gave me. But I will say, it could be tactical.
Mhm.
He
Oh,
keeps
I
saying
think it
inflation
is.
is gone. It's not. Jobs keep going away. He had to fire the head of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. You know, maybe it's all just tactical attempts to distract, and especially from the Epstein list, which we'll touch on today. And
Yes,
like we talked
yes.
about before we hit record, our discussion on the Epstein list today is going to be nothing but cheesemate because I haven't downloaded them yet. I haven't had the stomach to sit here and sift through. So all I can do is listen to other people who have sifted through because I have to mentally be prepared to try and sift through that crap.
You have a little bit more courage or maybe interest or whatever. I don't know what the right way to put it is than I do on that particular issue because first of all, I mean, my understanding is that 75% of these documents are just black
Mm-hmm.
blocks. So, I mean, I don't think that we're going to get anything close to the truth out of what's been
No,
publicly revealed. So I just haven't bothered myself with it. I just
it.
haven't.
One of the things we'll touch on that now. Then we'll pick up our agenda
Sure.
in a minute. Um,
Okay, fair enough.
One of the things that I have heard in passing from various news reports, um, and other creators on YouTube and things like that is this sudden shock that he's been on Epstein's plane like 8 times. We knew this. We have
Right. Yeah.
known this for years.
Yeah.
We have known this. So why are you? I mean, I know why Fox News is pretending to be shocked now because they have to pretend, but everyone's acting like that's something new. We've seen the flight logs. We know.
Well, and another thing, just again, just my little musings. I haven't followed things super, super closely, but I do remember Trump saying something, and I found it to be very interesting. It was kind of along the lines of him saying that he kicked Epstein out of one of his clubs because
Mm-hmm.
he said that the guy was a pervert and all that type of stuff. I mean, so he acknowledged that the dude, something was going on. He didn't get specific about exactly what he thought was going on, but he said he was a pervert. And I don't think pervert exactly tells you, but given the context of everything, I think we know what he's talking about. And to me, I mean, okay, interesting dodge there, but why weren't you in contact with the police
Right.
then if you already knew this shit was going on?
Right.
You
And
know?
I think that's part of the whole scandal with it too. He claims that it was that at some point in I want to say early 2000s, he kicked Epstein out of his golf club because he heard that he was a pervert. That's one story. Then the next story was no, he really stopped being his friend in that time because Epstein had like undercut him on a bid for some real estate that Trump wanted. And then the third story that I've had heard that Trump himself did verify saying that he stopped being friends with Epstein because Epstein was stealing the girls that were working at Mar-Lago. Well,
Oh, yeah, I do remember hearing something
so
about
did you
that.
know he was a
Yeah.
pervert and he was stealing young girls that were working at Mar-a-Lago? And not once did you think, let me call the cops on this man? I know he's a
See, that
pervert
was
and he's stealing young
right.
girls.
That was immediately my reaction to it. And the fact that, I mean, honestly, I was surprised that there wasn't even a bigger uproar from the left over it,
It
because
I And I think it's based off of your algorithms because there was huge uproar on my side. Why didn't you
I
say
really do
anything?
think it is. I
Yeah.
really do think it is. Unfortunately, that's why podcasts like this are so important, because we do have these algorithm bubbles that we live in right now, and we have to be very, very. This is just like a little side thing. We have to be very well aware of the fact that the political world that I see on social media is going to be completely different from the
Yep.
political world that Sasha sees. Because, I mean, I am sitting here saying some not so flattering things about Trump right now, but, I do lean right. But I also don't feel bad about saying things about him like this, because really, when it comes to at least the type of conservatism I embrace, he's not that anyway. He's
Right.
not a real conservative. I mean, real conservatives could be,
Real conservatives don't
bargained
spend,
with.
well, they don't spend $300 million on a ballroom that nobody wanted or needed.
Only he wanted it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
This is
I,
going to be
I, I
kind of a
mean,
boring podcast. You and I agree on a lot of things on today's list.
right. I know. I know. I mean, all I can say is that there are things about him I do like. I mean, I still haven't reached that point yet. So maybe this is something that will make you go, "Oh God, Chris, what the hell are you thinking?" But let's spice it up a little. So, I haven't gotten to the point yet where I regret my decision to have voted for him. If the election was still held again today, I probably still would have voted for him. Let's put it
Okay.
that way. Let's put it
Why?
that way. Well, there are certain things that I think that someone as I don't know, uh you could say fearless, you could say crazy. I don't know how you want to put it. But someone like him will really tackle the immigration situation, not in so much of a way that you would like, not in every way that I necessarily like. But I'm old enough that I remember, Bush talking about it, Clinton talking about it,
Yeah, but
George
y-
H.W. Bush talking about, Ronald Reagan talking about
year,
it, and they
but
let them all in.
year to date, Biden had more numbers by this time in 2024 for just the year 2024 than Trump does. And Biden wasn't violating any laws. And he still got more numbers. I
Well,
mean,
and
you can't
thankfully,
even
though, we have the
he
courts, though.
he
Thankfully, we
can't
have the
even
courts.
he can't even do something illegal better than somebody. You're just crap all around. You can't even be a great criminal. If you're going to be great
Well,
at something, at least be a great criminal. He can't
well,
manage that.
I do. I mean, I do think that it is kind of interesting, though, and I'm not even sure what to make of this now that I think about it. But at least in the social media that I see, it's constantly people on the left bitching and moaning about what he's doing with immigration. And Republicans are also quick to, interestingly enough, like I said, this is just kind of an observation. Do with it what you will. Interestingly enough, Republicans also point out that Biden has also expelled more people. So they're like, "Oh,
Hmm.
look, you leftists, you're being hypocrites. You're caring about what Trump's doing,
Because there's
but
a legal way of doing it and an illegal way. I'm not saying, you know,
mhm.
give us your mass murderers and your shooters. We've got enough white men with guns that are doing a yearly or a daily mass shooting in this country as it is. We don't need illegals doing mass shootings, but they're not. I'm saying there's a right way and a wrong way to go about these things. When close to 70% of the people deported are people that their only crime was the way in which they came into this country. That was it. Other than that, they've contributed billions into our tax system.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I do like that he has done, and I do not recall. Let's put it this way: I do not recall seeing Biden doing. which were the mass raids on employers.
No, because
That
it's
is some.
illegal. That's private property.
I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Except the
And
Constitution disagrees.
I
The
don't know that the
Constitution.
Constitution. Well, okay, if the employer is breaking the law,
You still need
then
a
I think,
warrant,
right.
and there's no
And
warrant.
I,
My Fourth
I don't
Amendment
know.
right protects me and any other person under the jurisdiction of the Constitution, which means anybody whose foot is on this land.
Well, let me just go ahead and finish my thought though, because here's the thing. I still do not have a problem with what's going on there. I mean, if there are some sort of legal things that should be done that aren't being done, maybe I just don't know about them, whatever the case may be. But I'm just simply saying that in the past, the employers got off scot-free. And in these situations, the employers who are attracting these folks from other countries are a lot of times and abusing them. And so I want to see these employment raids. I do. Because these MFers who are hiring these people at slave wages and trying to get away with it, are finally getting caught. And I like that. I mean, you may not agree with the way that they're going about it. And of course, there is a judicial system to offset him. And the judicial system, as far as I can tell, has been working. So, I really kind of don't see what the problem is, because I do think that there is a greater evil going on, which is the mass mistreatment of people and also the issue of slavery. There is slavery going on in this country, and that is one of the methods that, one of the vectors for it.
So I have some numbers for you, because me
Okay.
and my fast little Google fingers over here. That's what I'm doing while y'all are talking. If I'm not
Right.
interrupting you, it's because I'm Googling. So a quick little, and just Google's little AI snippet, because I don't have time
Right.
to dig through government websites right now. It
Right.
says that data suggests dozens of employers faced actions, with some arrests occurring, but often focuses on worker arrests and detentions. And that is wrong. You have arrested tens
Mm.
of thousands of
Mm.
people, some of whom are US citizens, some of whom had visas to be here, some had work authorization, some were students that were here, but we've only punished dozens of employers.
You have actually brought up a really good point. And this is not a pivot. This is just kind of like something that kind of goes along with what we're saying. And it is something that I did disagree with. If you're an American citizen, you should be able to stay an American citizen pretty much no matter what, is kind of the way I
Talking
see
about
it.
his wanting to dig through the naturalization.
Yes.
Okay, hold
Yeah.
on. Let's
And
let's let's put a pin in that, and we'll go back to that, because I
right.
do think that's an important conversation.
Right. And so I guess where I was going with that, relating it to what we're currently talking to, that is kind of, I guess you could say, the line that I draw. I'm sort of like, okay, well, yeah, it sucks. You got caught. Now, granted, like I said, I personally, and keep in the back of your mind, I personally want to see every one of these MFing employers thrown in
Mm-hmm,
prison for hiring
mm-hmm.
illegal workers. So I want to see
Absolutely.
that. I
Absolutely,
want to
because you're
see
no
that.
better than a slave owner. Absolutely.
Exactly. But at
Absolutely.
the same time, I don't know what to say, but those people, in my opinion, just simply do not belong here. And we do need to, here's the key, safely and responsibly send them back to where they came from, or a more suitable place.
I
You know?
I absolutely agree that yes, there are some people who have come over by illegal means that are criminals, have come here and have committed crimes. Absolutely. follow the law. Because once you start down that slippery slope, it so ICE is just going to start busting into every door that they feel like, and now we've got the Gestapo. These are Trump's Gestapo. They're going where they want and doing what they want. LAPD can't even do that.
Right.
A normal cop can't pull me over and yank me out of my car and start ripping through my car. A
Sure.
normal
Sure.
cop can't decide that he doesn't like the resting bitch face that I have, slam his car into mine, shoot me,
Right.
and then say that I tried to assault him. Like, I know, and I'm not pro cop. If you go and look at any of my TikToks, it is very clear I am very anti current police force.
Interesting.
Oh, I'm
I
very
think that
anti cop.
I think that probably where we would disagree is that I don't, if they came here through illegal means, I don't care if that is the only crime that they committed or civil offense, because technically it's a civil offense, it's not quite a
Mm-hmm.
crime. But I don't, but still, the law still allows for deportation for doing that particular civil offense. So I do think that they should still be sent back to where they came from, or at least a safe place, maybe of their choosing or something like that, that is open to accepting them.
With the
But
stress of their choosing, because
mhm,
we're sending people to Sudan.
right.
It.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
that's kind
speak.
of dumb.
I don't speak Sudanese.
No,
You
no.
know. The other thing that I have the issue with too is the DACA deportees. They came here as children. It's not like
Mhm,
they were an 18-year-old who made the intelligent choice as an adult
mhm.
to come into a country without going through the proper channels. They were brought over as kids. This is all they've ever known.
Sure.
And now they're being ripped out of colleges, they're being ripped out of jobs. These people are contributing members of society. They had DACA protected status and they're still getting deported. That's not
Right.
okay. You know, and
No,
that
and
that
it's
ties
not.
to that ties to what you were saying about the naturalized citizens that we have.
Yeah. Well, the thing is they were given protected status. I am kind of I kind of have a little bit of a memory though that it was not necessarily guaranteed to ever be a permanent status.
It was protected so we could go through the process. And
Okay.
the problem with the process, like all political and legal processes in this country, is that we don't have enough people to make the process quick. And it's not like this administration did us any favors by firing 300,000 federal employees. That
Hmm.
doesn't help anybody.
I think the main thing is with the DACA folks. I don't know. I mean, I would imagine, and this is maybe more me playing devil's advocate a little bit here. I would imagine that the fear from the right, and I guess I have a little bit of it myself, is that just kind of opens up a new slippery slope, if you will, of hey, if they're a kid, they can stay regardless all the time in the future.
So I pulled it up right now so we could refresh our memories and our viewers' memories, because you and I are of a similar age, and I think I was young. I was early
Mhm.
teens, if anything, when DACA first started.
Right.
So with DACA status, it was never meant to be permanent. It was not a pathway to permanent citizenship. It was temporary. It was renewable every 2 years, and it deferred deportation. It gave work permits during these 2-year periods so that people could be here lawfully. And
Yeah.
when people are here unlawfully, it's kind of scary to get a job and you fall into that slavery adjacent employment factor. At least if you have
Quick
a work permit, you're making the same amount of money as anybody else.
quick question for you, because I don't have the ability right now to like refer to something else, otherwise my video will cut out. It's just a limitation of how an iPad works. Um so With the DACA folks, I mean, are we in a situation though that it has not been renewed now? And if that's the case, aren't they here unlawfully?
From the cases that I've heard, because it takes a lot to get Bob Smith's particular situation out into the news, the names that that I've heard pop up, this person was here with DACA status, they shouldn't have been deported. If you look into their story, they were in their renewal period, so they were in that protected bubble, and they were doing another renewal. So here I am doing all these things that I have to do, and I'm sure that there's fees that they have to pay for this.
Yeah,
you
probably
know
so.
they're spending all this money going through this whole process trying to get it renewed until they can get their permanent status here, and they're getting yanked out of immigration court. That's like somebody going to pay a speeding ticket and getting arrested for having a speeding ticket. I'm here
But
trying to take care of my speeding ticket.
oh yeah, 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 for sure. I see what you're saying, but my question is essentially, are the DACA protections pretty much gone though? Isn't that? So
They're
I guess
not
that's what
giving
I'm
new
getting.
ones.
Okay, so these are existing folks, but has their term to stay here, for the lack of a better word, term to stay here, has that expired? And it's like, okay, well, you never got your citizenship for whatever reason. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole yet, but you haven't gotten your citizenship for whatever reason. Things are expired. So sorry, you got to go back home.
So no, like
Okay.
I said, they don't have, because everything is so unorganized. Christy Nome can't manage to organize a single thing. She just likes to play dress up and run around in front of a camera. There's trying to find
I
lists of
love
these
your
people.
descriptions.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I am not going to tell you're wrong, and
you know,
I think she has enough silicon in her lips to create some new boobs for people. So,
Look, if she's ever in
hey,
a
I'm a
ship,
gay man first and foremost. I'm a
if she
bitch.
if she's ever in a ship and it goes down, she's just got to go like this, and she'll float. Let that silicone float, darling. You won't drown. But
Wasn't she that terrible woman? Just a side note that just to remind our audience that shot her dog.
yes, she shot her dog because it was
Yeah,
a
I've
puppy.
never
And
liked her since then. She could have never done anything good to have ever redeemed herself from that.
you don't
I'm
shoot dogs.
sorry.
You just
No, you
don't
just
shoot
don't.
a dog. That's bad.
Maybe 200 years ago it made sense because you didn't have a veterinarian around every corner and you
Yeah.
had to take care of the animal somehow. Maybe they had rabies or something. I'm thinking old Yeller here.
Yep.
But nowadays you really don't need to do
Yeah.
that.
We don't shoot dogs. Period.
Right.
We don't shoot dogs. Um, no, from what I'm understanding, yeah, the individuals who have been deported, um, who their family is saying they had DACA protection, you know,
Mhm.
those few names that I've heard come across my algorithms, if you go and look them up, they were in their protected window. So
Okay,
it's
see,
not like
and
their
that would be
protection had lapsed.
that it would be wrong to yank
Hmm.
them out. That would be wrong. I would agree with you on that. If it had expired, then I think that they're fair game to be deported.
Well, and
Um,
I agree. I agree. You are fair game to be deported by lawful means. That
right,
doesn't mean that ICE can come banging on my door without a warrant and bust my door open like they've been doing. You know,
right.
there
Oh,
was,
I see your concern about it. I mean, like I said, I guess my thing is I just see maybe a little bit of a greater evil than even that going on. And it's kind of almost like, pick which evil thing you want, I guess. I don't know.
I don't even see illegal immigration as an evil. I really don't. You're the only services that they can benefit from are emergency medical care. So it's not like they're coming in and adding to the Medi-Cal numbers, right?
Right, sure. Hmm.
They're not coming in and getting into the welfare programs because they can't. They are working for pennies on the dollar. You know, us women gripe about the pay difference between us and men, but these poor guys, they're literally getting pennies to the dollar and they're still paying taxes. They contribute more
Sure.
than billionaires do as far as taxes go. So I
I
don't
think
see the
your
only
point. I'm sorry, Sasha.
no, it's okay. I was going to say the only evil that I could see is the evil that is done to them by these farm owners and these restaurant owners. That's
Thank
the
you.
evil.
See,
They're the
I
ones that need
sometimes
to be
do a
punished.
I need to do a better job of clarifying because that is the evil that I'm talking about right there. And I do think that this illegal immigration system, that's why I call it evil, is because it allows for those types of abuses that you and I obviously both agree are taking place and need to be fixed. So, I mean, that's why I call illegal immigration evil. And I think that there's a pretty well established history of countries wanting to
Mhm.
protect their borders. I don't think that this is a new concept by any
No,
stretch of the imagination.
I don't think it's a new concept. I'm not for it. I don't think that every country should have giant walls up around their border. I think that's a little asinine and childish. Um, there is a market for illegal workers, and
Hmm.
that's disgusting. And
Oh, I
instead
agree.
of going and attacking these people who are coming from horrid conditions, hoping to just come to a country where, geez, maybe I'm not going to have a dirt floor or a ton of bacteria in the water where I have to worry about my 2-year-old dying because of diarrhea because I don't have clean water, you know?
Right.
So they come here desperate for a solution
Sure.
and they get taken advantage of by employers. The women and children get sex trafficked in this country because
I was
clearly
going to bring that up.
according to the Epstein Files, we've got a ton of pedophiles in this country. You know, instead of attacking the people that move the motor in this system and encourage these people to come in just to abuse them, we don't punish them. We punish the poor abused. That's disgusting.
I agree. I agree. I mean, honestly, you make a very valid point. I
I
mean,
know.
I still, well, but at the same time, I still have to say that overall, I do want the people who have entered illegally to be, like I said, responsibly and humanely taken back out of the country, go through the process, that sort of thing, if you want to do it. Good for you. I'm not against immigration. That's not what I'm saying.
Right, right.
You know, but go through the legal process where there are at least some checks into who you actually are and all that type of stuff.
And
Because if you're
and
coming here illegally, we don't have a freaking clue.
and I agree with you on that. And just so people don't think I'm letting the Democratic Party off the hook here, because clearly I'm not. It is both sides of the
Mm.
aisle that have dropped the ball. We're constantly deporting people that are here illegally. I have yet to hear a news story except for this one that I'm looking at that came out. It's in USA Today. And this journalist, Christopher Can, is talking about employers not facing consequences for hiring undocumented workers.
Yeah,
And
and I disagree with that
well, in
altogether.
his write up, I guess this Michigan couple was employing and housing hundreds of undocumented immigrants for their plumbing business. Um, they investigated them for 5 years before anything really came out about this investigation.
Hmm.
Um, I'm looking to see on a quick skim through, it doesn't even look like the article doesn't talk about those employers ever getting in trouble.
Yeah,
That's
well,
disgusting.
and see, I agree. That is disgusting because, I mean, to be quite honest, they are to a certain degree the source of the problem because
Yes.
they're the ones providing the
Yes.
incentive for these people to come here. So they are a part of the problem, but in typical fashion for our uniparty government anyway, we protect the big guys and screw
Mm-hmm.
the little guys, and do it really hard. And I mean, we saw this when I mean, like, we could argue all day over like the student loan debt and stuff like that, but the funny thing is like, it just, I can't help but sit here and think it's like, if this was some trillion-dollar corporation that was facing some sort of hardship, the federal government would be like, make me your bitch, give me as much,
Yep.
we're going to give you as much money as you want, we're going to pass laws and change everything. But if you're just some person who's barely making it by, got a diploma that is worthless, because here's the thing, we were all told you got to get that
Exactly.
diploma. We were all
Exactly.
told that. And you're the poor sucker that fell for it because the government was saying it, business owners were saying it, everybody was, can I cuss? Because I really need to cuss.
Cuss. Cuss.
Everybody was fucking saying it.
Yes.
And but now, when these people here are facing a hardship, no, you know, uh, Tom Jones across the street or whatever, or is not some multi-billionaire with lots of employees. But if you lump all of these people together and you start actually trying to garnish their wages and stuff like that, you got a slightly fucked up economy right now. You're going to have an
Exactly.
amazingly fucked up economy once you start doing that. So,
Exactly.
congratulations.
Exactly. And I like that you brought in the whole, if you look at this, all of these people with this debt and you pull them together and look at them cumulatively, because that's what the Supreme Court does when we're talking about inter and intrastate state commerce, and we're talking about Congress's power, right? Way back in the day, I guess there was some issue with wheat. Congress had made a law saying that you can only grow X amount of wheat, and everything had to be super documented to make sure that there was enough wheat for the country. And this one farmer was growing wheat for himself, and he would grow a little extra. When he had a little extra, he'd go to his neighbor and be like, yo, Bob, give me like $1 and I'll give you this wheat so you can make some bread and your family's not going to starve. Well,
Right.
Bob got in trouble for helping out his neighbor like that. And the case worked its way all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said no, because that's just Farmer Joe helping out Bob. But if every farmer helped out their neighbor Bob, that's going to have a negative effect. So, yeah, Farmer John, you're in trouble for helping your neighbor Bob. That law absolutely applies to you. Well, the government does that only when it suits them and protects them, right?
Mm.
Because you've got poor Susie Sarah over here who went and got a library sciences degree, whatever the hell that is. Okay. She learned how to
It's
do
scared. I know what it is because I know people with them.
I don't know what the hell it is. All the only thing I could figure is that if you've got a library sciences degree, you learned how to make the Dewey Decimal System harder and more ridiculous than it already is. And more power to you if you know how to make that thing more screwed up than it already is. But
Right.
so they like the library a lot. They want to spend the rest of their adult life working there. Great. Dream career. Go and get a bachelor's degree in library sciences, and guess who's working at Starbucks? Because you can't
Right.
do jack with that degree, you
Right,
know?
right. I mean, at best, you might be able to work for a school district or something like that, but there's only so many of those jobs
Right.
available. Yeah,
And then when
but
school districts start laying off, who's the first to go? The librarian,
right, right,
you
exactly.
know?
Well, and I do think I mean, I do think there are people, back to what we were talking about as far as immigration and stuff like that, that are is concerned is you said the government. I'm going to say the powers that be, because that's going to be the government and all the billionaires and all
Uh-huh.
that type of stuff. Um, They love to stick it to the little guy,
Uh-huh.
and they love to do it in a way that has convinced the little guy that somehow or other this is in their benefit. Um, and
Yeah.
I just have never fell for that bullshit. So because we're kind of pitting people against each other, which is what this ruling class, let's put it that way,
Mm-hmm.
that's a better way of putting it, the way this ruling class likes to operate, you've got now people who are already being mistreated by this ruling class, who are natural born or legalized or naturalized citizens, now feeling like, oh my God, if we let all these other people in, they're going to take our jobs and
The
stuff like
ladder
that.
pullers.
Yeah, and but it's a legitimate thing, because I mean, humanity, life, and stuff like that. Maybe it's just something that I've been willing to, well, not accept. I don't love it, but at least come to terms with. Life is cutthroat. It's totally cutthroat,
It
and
absolutely.
these people know that, and know that these people will compete against each other. Now, I'm not saying that it's okay for the people to come here illegally. I'm not saying anything like that. But I do think that it is interesting, because that guy who's, uh a Colombian farmer or something like that moving up here, he's not going to take your software engineering job.
Right.
Probably not going to do that. But at the same time, should he be here? No, he probably shouldn't be here. So let's go ahead and take care of that anyway. But I've just heard a few things said here and there, and I can't remember exact examples or anything, where I can look at it and I'm like, wow, you guys are masterfully pitting human beings against each other.
It and they've been doing it since the dawn of time. Cain and Abel, great example. You know, it that I think is the innate evil in every human. We all have the capacity to be just wicked, horrible things. And
Oh, sure.
the ruling class, the powers that be in humanity, um, they take advantage of that. You
Hmm.
know, you can see it with slavery in this country. They had convinced the dirt poor white sharecropper that he was better than the freed black man. You're better simply because you're white, period. And so
Well,
now this white sharecropper is beating down on the freed black man when at the end of the day, they're both dirt poor. Had they just grouped together and realized what was happening to them, the upper class would have been toppled. I think really what this country needs is another French Revolution. That needs to
well,
happen.
I'll put it this way. It's a little bit, it's even more insidious, because I did a whole lot of just kind of like study in college on um, the Reconstruction period in the South. And actually, the whole thing about you're better because you're white, I'm sure some people said that, but it was more insidious than that. That's not what they did.
Oh,
It
I'm making
actually,
it as simple as I can.
oh yeah, no, no. But the thing is, they pulled some similar shit. They made it so that, oh well, now all these free black people are going to take your jobs. That's
Mhm.
exactly what they did. That had way more to do with any sort of racial type of bias or anything like that. It had way more to do with it. So much of this stuff all actually boils down to economics and stuff like that. But as far as that, but it's interesting to see them use some of the same language. So there's a lot of similarities that you see over. I think it is important to study history, because even if we're talking about immigration, if we're talking about slavery, if we're talking about whatever, I mean, at least when I say whatever, I mean at least when it comes to pitting people against each other. Now, I will say, to the MAGA movement's credit, and this isn't coming from Donald Trump, This is the MAGA movement itself. The vast majority of people that I have met who have described themselves as MAGA recognize exactly what I'm talking about, because a lot of them are poor white people and they
Hmm.
do realize that they're being pitted against poor black people. So
I
I've
think you're
got to give
giving them too
MAGA.
much credit.
Well, probably to you, but at least to me, I've gotten to know these people on a very, very personal level, and I really do believe that they, honest to God, get it. They
So
do. They just don't agree with us, probably, on the solution.
I think that they get, I think their understanding stops at the illegal Mexicans are going to take my job. That's all they hear. They don't understand the motives behind what they're being told. They don't understand the utter fallacy of it, because somebody who is here illegally can't go take your job at the 99-cent store, Susie. They just can't.
No.
Poor Susie. She first had a library sciences degree, then worked at Starbucks. Now she's white trash at the 99-cent store.
Well,
But
I think that the upshot of what we can really take away from this is the fact that, you know, I think that it's pretty agreeable to both of us that, that the employers, even the government themselves, are misusing people,
mhm.
especially immigrant workers. They are. And then they're also pitting them against poorer workers within this country. So it's kind of like the same recipe, just, mixed up a little bit. Like sometimes I like to put dill in my matzo ball soup. Sometimes I don't.
I think I think it's a lot of, hey, look, what's happening over there? Let's take your money over here. I'm going to make you think they're taking your money. They're
Hmm.
taking your money. Really, I'm taking it. Case in point, the big beautiful bill and the tax cuts. My wife just asked me today. She said, "Hey, I heard at work that I need to save my last pay stub of the year that has like my total yearly overtime, because I need to do something with that with my taxes because of the no tax on overtime." And I
Right.
started cracking up. And she said, "Well, what's so funny? Like, is that true or not?" And I said, "Okay, here's the deal. You don't get no tax on tips. You have a capped credit on your taxes that will help you if you owe at the end of the year. But there is a narrow window of earnings that you have to fall within to benefit from that. If at any point in time our income combined knocks us out of that window, guess who doesn't get no tax on tips?" And then I
Right.
started cracking up again, and she goes, "Well, now what's funny?" And I said, all those nurses and doctors that you worked with that thought that was so great, I'm going to vote for Trump because I don't want my overtime taxed. Nurses who work overtime, at least like we did in the ER, we're
Uh-huh.
clearing six figures, and it's a solid six figures, you know?
Right.
Guess what, dickwad? You're outside that income bracket. You're getting taxed. He's going
Yeah.
to tax the holy shit out of you because you're not a billionaire. He doesn't care about you. And you're not, the poor Dollar Tree worker who he knew for sure was going to vote for him. You're not benefiting. And they don't get that. That's where I get frustrated. And I think more
Yeah.
of my frustration falls on those that voted for him instead of him. He can't help that he's dumb. He really can't. But the people that voted for him, the information was out there if you looked for it.
Well, like I said earlier, I mean, obviously, I don't necessarily think that he's dumb, but I will say this. I mean, here's one thing that I would challenge you and all the rest of our viewers to do, and myself as well, because I need this reminder too. Is look at how both sides very creatively spin the shit that they tell you is going to be good for us. And that's kind of why I made the joking comment that there was a little seriousness to it about the uniparty. And, I think that we all need to, if we see something on the other side that ticks us off, we should take the time and see if our side is doing it too. I do it all the time,
It
but I haven't done it in a while, and
and
it is
there
a good thing.
and there are Democrats that piss me off.
Yeah.
You know, Nancy Pelosi, you're old. I am glad that you are finally stopping running. Go
Right.
retire. Stop it. You know,
Right.
you've got Hakeem Jeffries, who at the very beginning came out really hot and heavy, anti Trump, anti Republican. He was saying all the right things and then just started giving sternly worded letters. Nobody wants your letters. You're not sending letters home to anybody's mommy. They're not in trouble in second grade. These are literally people's lives that you are
Right.
messing with. You need to do something other than a letter. Um, I totally lost my train of thought.
It's okay. We've kind of been meandering. If you want to
we
just go on to the next
we
topic,
have been, but I kind of liked it. I
no,
do
it was
want to
good.
talk about I do want to talk about Trump's Christmas Day message here.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. Let's take a look at that.
I've got it pulled up. I'm going to put it up on the screen just in
Okay.
case. Let's see.
Oh, that's fine.
Did I do it?
You did it. I just had to
There
approve
we
it.
go.
There we
All
go.
right. So this was Donald Trump's Truth Social, his new form of, foreign management here. Tonight, at my direction as Commander in Chief, the United States launched a powerful and deadly strike against ISIS terrorist scum in northwest Nigeria, who have been targeting and viciously killing primarily innocent Christians at levels not seen for many years and even centuries. That's a issue. I have previously warned these terrorists that if they did not stop the slaughtering of Christians, there would be hell to pay, and tonight there was. The Department of War executed numerous perfect strikes, as only the United States is capable of doing. Bullshit. Under my leadership, our country will not allow radical Islamic terrorism to prosper. May God bless our military, and Merry Christmas to all, including the dead terrorists, of which there will be many more if their slaughter of Christians continues. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So here is my beef.
Go with it, girl.
I think, I went in August of this year at a meeting that Trump had with Zelensky. Trump had made an offhanded comment that the right was saying, oh, it was a joke. The left is saying, no, it's not, about how Ukraine didn't have an election because of this war with Russia. And Trump had said, oh, so that's what you do to not have an election, have a war? I like that. And now we've got attacks on Venezuela. He's tried
Yeah.
to goad them into a war. Now he's bombed Nigeria. It came out almost immediately that there was nothing going on in these, quote, perfect strikes. And we know that they are not perfect strikes. The US is not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Look at this bombing in Iran. That was a crap strike, too. But there's so much wrong with this. It
Well, from my standpoint, as well, let me back up a sec. Okay, so for any conservative who might be watching this and being like, "Oh my God, Chris, why the hell aren't you standing up more for Trump?" and blah 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 blah. Okay, here's the thing that you guys need to know about me. I tend to be harder on my own side than I am on the opposition. And the reason is because I actually expect something from the people that I am supporting and that I choose to associate with. I expect better. That's the thing. If you are thinking that Donald Trump is providing primo presidential power and skills and all that type of stuff, I personally think you're crazy. Because I don't think that he is doing that. And then the thing is Sasha brings up a really good point here. I'm talking to my conservatives out there. Sasha brings up a really good point here that you really need to think about. One of the reasons that we as conservatives supported Trump, and especially as a libertarian, more myself, is because I didn't want the government getting involved in other wars. And it is really interesting, guys, that I am seeing some of the people talking about, oh, we've got to take care of all these Christians and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and do that. But in the same breath, I'm seeing some, not all, probably a minority, but I am seeing some conservative Christians deciding not to support Israel, but being fine with this military action. And to me, you're kind of letting your bias hang right out there for everybody to see when one is okay, but the other is not okay. Here's the thing, guys, none of it's okay. None
Mm-mm.
of this shit is okay. The only thing that you might be able to make a good argument for to some degree, but man, it's got to be more limited than what he's doing, is the stuff with the drug boats and stuff with Venezuela. That I can maybe kind of support because it's like, obviously, I want to stop the, importation of fentanyl and stuff like that, which also, by the way, guys, most of that comes from China.
I wouldn't
So,
pause real quick. I would not
mhm.
be anti the boat thing if he had said, look, guys, here's proof there's drugs on these boats. We found letters to the drug shippers saying, dear drug shipper, please deliver this to Miami, Florida. It's coming here. Do it. You
Yeah,
have
well, and
evidence, do it. There's no evidence. And just like Venezuela, Nigeria has oil reserves of about 38 billion barrels. They have the second largest oil reserve in Africa and the 10th largest in the world. So just like Venezuela, again, Trump is only second best at this bullshit. Bush had us all fooled for a while. He all had us thinking there was weapons of mass destruction, and we went on a 20-year rampage. Trump is sucking at this too. I'm going to get myself on an Antifa list.
oh
I
my
kind of hope
gosh,
I do. But he can't even do this right. Bush was good at it. Bush had us
right.
all thinking that there was weapons of mass destruction. It took a
I
hot
was
minute.
willing to get, yeah, I was willing to give Bush a chance.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I mean, if that's really the case, maybe we should
Yeah.
take care of this,
I mean,
you know?
I had I had signed my contract to join the army, and about 2.5 weeks later, the World Trade Center came down. I was salivating. Let's go. Let's go. I want to go to basic training right now. This is BS. Somebody attacked my country. I was behind it, both hands in. I was all in on this. It took me like being an adult, fully functional frontal lobe adult to realize, oh, wait a minute. I don't think what we did was okay. That was not okay, you know?
Right. No, I get that. And obviously the Iraq war was a complete joke. But yeah, I mean, if all he's doing with Venezuela is simply trying to control the flow of drugs into this country, I 100% support it. I completely do. You know, and even if it doesn't necessarily make some people with international law happy or whatever, I'm kind of like, well, this is kind of some bad shit, and a lot of Americans are dying, so I'm kind of willing to
If if there was
let it
proof,
go.
if there was proof, I'd be willing to have the conversation,
Yeah.
you
Oh, yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
If
Oh no,
there's
I
proof,
know.
let's go to Congress. Let's do this the way that we're supposed to do this. Let's get our allies behind us and let's stop it because that's a worldwide issue. Stop it.
It is. It is. And so, I mean, but where I was going with the thing about bringing up China is that, if he's like so concerned about the fentanyl trade and stuff like that, then why aren't we attacking ships out of China
Right.
as well? Well, there's obviously a very good reason for that.
Mm.
Venezuela is a much easier target. You
Papa Xi
know,
is his friend. Papa Xi is his friend. Some nasty, dirty deeds were going down when he went to China.
I don't
Don't
know
tell
for
me they weren't.
sure, but
Don't tell me they weren't.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I guess that's the difference
Lis-
between
listen
you
to
being a little left and me being a little right.
listen to how he talked about Arnold Palmer,
Oh yes, yes,
and
yes.
tell me
No,
some stuff didn't go down with Papa Xi.
I don't know. I
Come
yeah, I
on.
don't know.
Come on.
I won't go there right now.
Come on. You're just afraid to be on that Antifa list.
Oh well, I'm already on the list. Remember, the ACLU doesn't like me, so.
Yeah, but the ACLU is going to go about things properly. At some point, I fully expect Kristi Noem to come in here and try to shoot my dogs because I said that Trump is not smart.
Oh well, I mean, look at me in my position. I might get shot before you do. And she's not going to shoot my dog; she's just shoot me.
Oh my Lord! If anything, don't tell Kristi Noem my dog was snuck across the border.
Shh. My dog is gay and transgender.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening into our craziness tonight at Political Malpractice. We were a little more chill. I guess Sander, even though he's quiet, he really is our fire starter, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, probably the trans issue. Well, because that's the thing that got me on the ACLU's and Southern Poverty Law Center's list was the trans stuff, but even they still take me the wrong way, which kind of goes to show that a lot of this stuff. I mean, just having been on the receiving end of some of this stuff, it goes to show how insincere some of these organizations truly are. Because if they took the time to really get to know where I was coming from, they would also know that this is a civil rights issue for me too. I
Barrett,
just take a
that is another
different spin on it.
episode.
Oh,
That is
I
another
know.
episode.
But it just amazes me that, because you probably will end up on the Antifa list, and
Oh,
it'll
no
be
doubt.
stupid. It'll be stupid as fuck. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's stupid as
No
fuck
doubt.
that the ACLU and Southern Poverty Law Center is paying attention to me.
I'm surprised my TikTok is still up. I am super surprised my TikTok is still up. Any other little good night messages for those that are listening to
Well,
us?
I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. I know Kwanzaa starts. Well, actually,
It already
was
started.
tonight the first night? Yeah,
Night
first
before.
night tonight.
Night before last, I
Night
think.
before. Okay, so definitely Kwanzaa. But for the holiday that pretty much everyone celebrates, Happy New Year.
Exactly.
All right, that's what I have to say, Sasha.
All right, guys, have a good one. We are going to come in with a midweek episode, and maybe we'll get some, better back and forth instead of the right and the left agreeing on quite a bit of issues tonight. Sanders seems to be our controversial person, even though he only says like 5 things every podcast. Have a great night. Be safe over these holidays, guys. If you're in college like I am, enjoy your break. Take that breather. This is the first breather I've had in my 2 years in law school. And I should have done this last year too, because this is really nice. Have a good one. Be safe from all of us here at Political Malpractice, guys. Good night.
Good night.
If you want a second opinion or just something to rage about, hit that button and subscribe. This has been Political Malpractice.